I have lived in West Virginia for 40 years. I love this state. I love its traditions. I love the fact that there's so many cool places to visit. It's just a wonderful place to explore. And I have with me today Carol Vogler, who is a native West Virginian, a mountaineer through and through from Preston County, West Virginia. And Carol has embraced all things West Virginia. She has made pepperoni rolls, the state food, for her son's wedding. How many did you make, Carol?
Over 300.
Over 300. I mean, come on. She has made masks during COVID from flour sacks that her mother made dresses for her when she was a child. And she has spent the night in Moundsville State Prison, which is closed. She wasn't an inmate.
With you.
With me, yes. With many ghost hunters there. So I have asked Carol to join me today to talk about one of my favorite traditions in West Virginia, the Golden Horseshoe competition. So I'm going to start off by just asking Carol to bring us up to date a little on what is the Golden Horseshoe competition?
Well, all students in West Virginia have to take West Virginia history in 8th grade. And back in 1929, the state legislature said we need to, really encourage this. And they started clubs, West Virginia clubs, which eventually led to the 8th grade history class. And they started the first test in 1930. And so since then...
We were not around then, I'd just like to clarify.
And being the youngest of 4 in my family, when I went through, I knew about the Golden Horseshoe test. And I vividly remember my West Virginia history teacher telling me the first day about how he had never had a winner. And I set that as my goal. And I worked, my mother worked with me, drilled, the days before the internet and access to West Virginia information, you had to go to books and take notes.
Oh, yeah, books.
But anyway, I worked very hard. But in a small county in rural Tunnelton, you had to go to the county seat, Kingwood, to take the test. Well, the day I went, you still had school regardless of snow, but we had a lot of snow, and nobody would drive me the 8 miles to where the test was taken, so I didn't get my chance to be a Golden Horseshoe winner.
But although we all of Carol's friends feel very sad for her on this point because it's very important to her, but there is a happy ending, sort of, in that both of Carol's children became Golden Horseshoe winners. And Casey became a knight and Kara became a lady of the Golden Horseshoe group. So Carol, tell us a little bit about each of their experiences in entering the Golden Horseshoe competition.
Well, Casey, like me, was very goal-oriented. And because we had always talked about it, and as they were, coming up, we took them all over West Virginia. We have relatives here, there, and everywhere in West Virginia, and took them to everything anyway. So finally, in 8th grade, he said, this is going to be my goal. He worked very hard. But we did have a little incident one night as we're studying, and I drilled him night after night. And we did have videos, at least for the time they were around to watch. And he had a baseball bat that every time I'd ask a question, he'd swing it and yell the answer. Who's the first governor? Arthur I. Borman. Who did the state motto? Joseph DeBoer. Well, he got a little animated. And this one time, as he swung the bat, it hit the light. Our chandelier was a fan and shattered the globe. So needless to say, that was the end of the studying for that night, but he still persevered and became a Knight of the Golden Horseshoe, which we were thrilled. And the first Mother's Day after they take the test, I think it's the end of February, the test.
Yes.
They find out usually in March, and then the ceremony is in April. And the coveted pin, this is what is so valuable, is the Knight of the Golden Horseshoe, which comes from Alexander Spotswood, the first expedition. That's what he gave all the explorers when they went west of the Alleghenies into what is now the mountainous part of West Virginia, and they got a golden horseshoe, a real golden horseshoe back then, similar to that one, except gold. So they give all the winners this, and you belong to the West Virginia Golden Horseshoe Club. Well, I didn't have one, so he gave me his pin.
And I would say my husband, my 2 children took it and did not get inducted into the Golden Horseshoe Society. But if you have this pin, which if I was better skilled at this, I could zero in on it. Yeah, there you go.
There you see the pin.
If you have that pin and you wear it in West Virginia or any places, it is an honor to wear that pin.
It truly is.
But now we go on to daughter Kara, and I would, you said Casey was very goal-oriented, but
Absolutely.
Kara required a little carrot to get her engaged, and maybe you can talk about her experience.
Well, Kara, had the same experiences growing up, traveling all over the state, hearing everything, knowing her brother had been one, but she did not want to study. I tried to get her to study. No, I just am not motivated. Well, the Saturday before they were going to take the test on Tuesday, she finally said, okay, Mom, I'll make you a deal. If I win the Golden Horseshoe contest, can I get a tattoo? No, absolutely not. I mean, she was 14 years old, and I'm like, no, this is not going to happen. She goes, okay, how about having my belly button pierced and getting a belly button ring? I thought, not too many people would see that. Grandparents wouldn't see it. That might be okay. Okay, it's a deal. Thinking it's never going to happen. Well, lo and behold, she did it. We were shocked when you get the results in the mail is how they find out. And so we had to live up to our part of the deal too. I had to take her. We researched a nice clean place to go have it done, a tattoo parlor that did it. And she got it. But both inductions into the Night of the Golden Horseshoe were just memorable experiences.
And they do dub them with the sword.
Yes. There are 210 that are inducted. They have 2 from every county of the 55 counties. That's 110. And 1 from the Romney School for the Deaf and the Blind. They have those 111 spots are set. And then they do the rest by population. So there's 210. And they will call their name up. They go up in front of everybody. They have a kneeler that they kneel down, and they have an antique sword.
I think
it used to be the governor.
Not a real sword.
Well, it was a real sword, but now
Probably
it's
not
covered, an
anymore.
antique one, right? And they dub them either a knight or a lady of the Golden Horseshoe. And then they have a tour of the Capitol. You have a luncheon after. It's a wonderful celebration.
I just, and so Casey gave you his. Did Carrie give you her belly button?
No. But she did. This was her. She did give me this, and one of them had the bag. This was, which probably has the year, 1998. This would have been Casey's bag. So.
Well, I want to thank Carol so much for sharing this story about one of my favorite West Virginia traditions. And I'm going to have Carol back to tell us more because she and her husband Larry have toured the state. They've been to places you have never even heard of. So thank you so much, Carol, for joining me, and we'll see you again.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to do this, Lynn.